that's why he's Warren Buffett and we're not.
Yeah,
it's one of the he is
that's
always,
why you're Matthew Scott and I'm Steven Scott.
Yeah.
So
yeah, that's
Yeah.
why. And again, I don't necessarily harbor any resentment towards that, other than acknowledging that like most of us aren't as brilliant as that person, and that's
No.
that's okay. That's okay.
Yeah, and that's okay.
I don't expect anyone, but it's almost looked upon now, and this is where my disdain for American exceptionalism comes from. It's that like it sets the idea that like every bad thing that happens to a person is a result of some sort of personal failing.
It's a personal failing, or it's a series of choices, or they didn't push hard enough, or it was a lack of effort. And I hate that argument, because sometimes, statistically speaking, you will walk across the street and you will be hit by a car. That's not a lack of effort. That's just bad luck.
It's bad luck, and it's also it ignores a lot of things where like we've accepted that some things are inherent, but other things are just automatically personal choices. And the juxtaposition I always use is test taking. Like we're at the point now where we can openly acknowledge that like, hey, someone can be really, really smart and brilliant and just be a bad test taker. Like if I would admit I was actually a pretty good test taker. I got pretty far just on being able to, I could memorize things and I looked good on standardized tests.
Right.
But when it came down to really put pedal to pavement, or, put rubber to pavement, I did struggle with work ethic for a while. And it was something that I always thought was some level of personal failing. And it is something that you still have to address. But I have never understood how we can just easily acknowledge that, hey, sometimes that test taking is an inherent ability. It's a talent. You either have it or you don't. But we're not willing to acknowledge that work ethic is something that you either have it to this level or you don't have it to this level.
Right.
It's not like we're not all born to go 24/7. We're not all Elon Musk. We're not born to work. Not everyone's born to want to work 60 hours a week.
Right. Or frankly, get by on 4 hours of sleep a day.
Yeah.
Not everybody can do that. But I think I think it's societal compulsion, and what I mean by that is, if you want things that society has deemed to be a indicator of success, you have to work for them. And there's some people, that'll one of the things that I absolutely love is the story of immigrants that come here that deal with abhorrent situations to get here. And given enough time, effort, and resources, they become business owners. And one of the biggest issues I have.
Yeah, I mean that's American Dream 101 right there.
Right. One of the biggest issues I have is people that are anti-immigration. Both of my father's parents, my paternal grandfather and grandmother were born in Europe. Both. Neither one spoke English. Neither one had a high school education. Some of the jobs I've had in the past, working, always front of the house for a restaurant. I speaking of work ethic, there's no way I could cut it in the back of the house job. No way. Could never be a line cooker or a prep cooker. There's no way. And frankly, that's not what my skill set is. My skill set is talking to people, being nice, socializing. That's my skill set. Somebody who's willing to leave large segments of their family behind, come across a desert, put themselves at risk, travel 1,800 miles or whatever the distance is, basically to cross Mexico, south to north, come into the country illegally. those are people that we should want to embrace as citizens, because they are giving up so much just to get here. Those should be the people that, you know what, we welcome you, because you are the very definition of the tired and the poor yearning to be free. You're the definition of that. So we're going to welcome you. And so many on the right vilify them. And I've never liked that. And the reason that I've never liked that is because I could put myself in that position, because I am only 2 generations removed from that.
Right. That, and like, I think the one thing,
and I've hated that approach, and I've hated that vilification, because it's like, wait a minute, you're gonna blame societal's ills in the fact that you can't find a good job on people that want to get here and better themselves. Because here's the thing, simply put, you're not looking to get a job working in the back of the house of a restaurant. You're not looking to be manual labor. You're not looking to work a construction job. You're not looking to work in agriculture production. You're not looking to work in meat processing. These are all jobs that, by and large, born and bred American citizens have abandoned, because the pay is too low and the work is too hard, and they're not willing to do it. And the rhetoric on the right about it, especially the build the wall.
But like, what makes that rhetoric so effective, though?
Again, I think it speaks to that dog whistle, rugged individualism. You know, the reason you don't have is because, and I think what it comes down to, the reason you don't have is someone else took. And here's the people who took. So they're the enemy. Don't blame yourself, because it's a hell of a lot easier society-wise to not look at the failings of yourself as an individual when compared against others. And the sad thing is, they might not even be failings.
Also, yes, it's a lot of those things aren't even failings.
It's a lot of, look, if they, and it's a societal thing, if they have and I don't, that doesn't mean you're a failure. It means that they have and you don't. You can both be winners. You can both be losers.
The scarcity mindset. It's the myth of scarcity is the most pervasive argument that comes from any state.
Yes.
Comes from any state. Especially
any state, any country has that.
Especially this one. The idea that there's not enough money to go around is an absolute lie.
And I mean, the thing is, there's again, you know, one of the things that I worked, like one of the things that I was amazed at was, there was a guy where I was working. I used to be a server in Washington, D.C., and this guy, great guy, still occasionally talked, you know, with his broken English and my broken Spanish, we still occasionally talk on Facebook. He came to this country initially illegally, got his green card. He owns 3 homes in Northern Virginia now. On paper, he's worth more than $1 million, which is more than what I'm worth.
Yeah.
And the reason that he was able to do that was because, where I'm not willing to do that, every single dime that he could save, that he didn't have to spend on essential, basically life expenses, he saved everything. And again, this is the mindset that my grandparents had. You never throw anything away. It can be fixed. You never call in a professional. You learn to fix it yourself. I mean, my grandfather built the frames for the furniture that we grew up with. My grandmother did the upholstery. You know, there was just something to be said for that.
And there is something to be said for that.
And this guy has that same mindset. What he did was he bought a fixer-upper, and it was like a 3-bedroom home, fixer-upper, like just needed updates galore. And at one point, there were 12 people living in a 3-bedroom home. 12 people. But the reason that he was able to do that, not all of them were his family, but they were all chipping in rent money.
Yeah, they were tenants.
And
And his
and
story
they were all
is
able to, and one guy knew, he told me, like, one guy knew electricity. He knew electrical. Another guy that was living there was a plumber. He knew plumbing. Another guy that was living there was paint and drywall. And he didn't collect money from them. He had them fix the house.
yeah, I mean, it was the luck. I'll
It's
say
the
the luck.
barter. It's
Yeah.
basically, and it's pervasive in immigrant communities. It's called the barter economy, where I can't give you money, but I can give you a service. I can give you a skill. I can give you something I know. And if you're willing to basically put a roof over my head, I can fix the roof.
I'm willing to let you live under it.
Yeah.
Big deal.
Yeah. And he was, and basically what he was able to do is he was able to buy these fixer-up properties, and then in the span of about a year or two, turn around and sell them for about double what he bought for them.
Yeah, and that's not even the traditional immigrant story. Like, it's
No, but my point is with sharing this. Do you know what he still is to this day?
a line cook.
He is still a food runner. He is still working that job, and the reason he's working that job was because it puts cash in his hand every single day. He literally gets paid every day that he works. And he like I said, he owns 3 homes. One of them he's just completely renting out to another family. It basically pays the mortgage, and he said he makes like, I think he said he makes like $200 a month is what he makes on it. That's like, after I pay my mortgage, I get $200. You know, that's the profit on it. He's living in the second home, and he's fixing up the third. And I mean, like I said, this is a guy who he would make $100 to $120 a shift. You know, there would be 9 servers tipping him out, 2 bartenders tipping him out. So you'd make between $100 to $120 a shift. He still works that job because it's the mindset. And by and large, the average American who complains about immigrants doesn't have that mindset.
Thank you for watching Life Outside the Ivory Tower. If you enjoyed what you have seen, be sure to give the video a like. If you want to tell us what idiots we are, be sure to leave a comment below. We put out new content weekly, so subscribe, click the bell so you can stay up to date on how to survive life outside the Ivory Tower.